Now, I mean, today we're going to have the proper, let's say, the, the proper lesson from the book, yes, of Schonberg, yeah. We have reviewed all the material, yes, we have reviewed all the modes, and now, yes, we can go straight to the chapter 10, yes, which is the one on the secondary dominants and other non-diatonic chords derived from the church modes. Yes. Why the revision was so important? Because he connects everything: secondary dominants, diminished dominants, Neapolitan, what we call modal interchange. I don't know if you have heard about that before. Borrowed chords, yes, well, regions in harmony. He connects all from the church modes, yeah. So that's why we had to have that very, very clear, yes, in our heads. So let's see. He has kind of a system, yes. So we have to get into the system. Let me share this with you. Oh, fun. I hope you can see it. So secondary dominants and other non-diatonic chords derived from the church mode. So I have already mentioned that peculiarity of the church modes wherein variety was produced in harmony to accidentals, large, flats, naturals, which momentarily and incidentally alter the diatonic tones of the scale. Most textbooks commonly try to replace these regions with a few instructions pertaining to chromaticism. We're not going to get into that, yes, because we don't have the other textbooks, yes. That's why the only thing I'm going to say is that other textbooks orient, yes, secondary dominant, diminished dominant, yes, and church mode from a different point of view. Yes, he has kind of a theory that comprises everything. That's it. Yes, that's the only difference. If not, we have to read textbooks that we don't have here. Yeah, that is not in itself the same thing. However, nor does it have the same value for the pupil since it is not sufficiently systematic. Now, this is what is interesting. What took place in the church mode happened without chromaticism, so to speak, diatonically. What is he saying here? What happened with the church mode happened without chromaticism. Accidentals didn't exist, right? Yes. I mean, we know that all the modes are a result of a permutation of the, let's say, yes, one scale, what we call now major scale, and the other modes come from a permutation. That's not it, we know that, but let's do a reductionism here, yes, just to understand. Yes, if we start on every note of the scale, we're going to have another permutation, on the second note, on the fourth note, on the fourth note, on the fifth note, and that will give us another mode. Yes, reductionism, but let's keep it simple. If now we have to go through counterpoint again, yeah. But it was diatonic. So it says, well, happened without chromaticism, so to speak, diatonically, as we can still see in our minor mode, where the sixth and seventh raised tones ascending are as diatonic as the lower descending tones. Now if we apply that to Dorian, the church mode that begins on the second note of a major scale, thus in C major on D, so D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, we get descending tones A, B, C sharp D, descending D, C, B flat A. Phrygian starting on the third tone gives us B, C sharp, D sharp. It was not commonly used in this form, and E, D, C, B descending. In the Lydian, from the fourth tone, the perfect fourth, B flat, could be used as augmented, B natural, and Mixolydian from the fifth tone, G, the seventh tone could be raised, or not. Aeolian, our present day minor, produce E, F sharp, D sharp, A, and then going down, A, G, F, E. So, what is he talking about? Yes. Let me see if I can give another shot. Okay. So, he says that, remember this, no? The modes. If we apply the same thing, let's start with the Aeolian, which is the one that we know. The Aeolian, we have the natural mode, we all know it, but we apply, yes, the raised 6 and 7, yes, into the degrees, yes, in order to what? To imitate, yes, the second tetrachord of the major scale, yes, in the ascending manner, yes. In the descending, everything goes back to normal. If we apply the same system, yes, to the other modes, in this case he says in the Dorian, well, you have the A, B, C, sharp, D, descending, and then, ascending and descending comes to the Dorian again. Interesting part that we're going to see that gives us kind of a weird chords, later we'll see, is this. That scale is one scale that we are not very used to. Yeah, that's the thing. Because we are used to have the F sharp because of the relative, yes, but not apply the same raise of the 6 or the 7 degrees on the second tetrachord, yeah, and an ascending, yes, motion and descending with the F natural. That when we deal with chords, they're going to give us lots of more chords that we are not used to. Let's say, yeah. So this is the Phrygian. We apply it, ascending, descending, right? The same thing can happen with the Lydian. The Lydian naturally is so ascending can be with we can use the flat, transforming this into the F major, descending the F natural, the F Lydian, yeah. And then the same thing, yeah, with the Mixolydian, yes. When you go in ascending motion, you can raise the 7 degree the F, descending, different, yeah. So far so good, because this is something that is not, you know, not the way that at least, I don't know, at least I learned it, or commonly learned, yes. Okay, so it says, now our major and minor mode actually contain the entire harmonic wealth of the church modes, yes. So the polarity, yes, major minor contains all the harmonic wealth of the church modes, then we must include these characteristics in a manner consistent with their sense. Why? Because we have, remember that with the modes we have two major divisions. The minor ones, the minor modes, and the major modes, in which you have three of each, in which the Ion is the captain of the minor modes, and the Ionian is the captain of the major. Yeah, and there was one exception. Then let's do that before. Yes. Now, just before we carry on. Which are the minor modes?
The Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, and I guess not the Locrian.
Could be, the thing is, it could be if you, I mean, it's not practical, because we said that the first triad is diminished. Although if you take the triad away, the fifth, you can use it. Yeah.
The triad, yes.
So not the triad, the fifth of the triad. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Laura, which are the major modes?
The major modes are the ones that we didn't say. Which were.
Come on, wake up.
Mixolydian.
In a way, you have two left.
Mixolydian and. I said them all apart from Mixolydian.
Yes, one is very close to Mixolydian. Lydian. There you go. Lydian, Mixolydian, and Ionian, of course, is the captain of the team. Now we have to have this extremely clear, yes, because now it gets really complicated. I mean, when he starts bringing the harmony into it, you will see it will get complicated. Yes. So my advice, it has to. You have to have this here. Why is that? Let me show it again. So let's say that you have says, okay. It becomes possible thereby to use in a major key all the non-diatonic tones and chords that appear in the 7 church modes, which were constructed on the 7 diatonic tones of our major scale. Those non-diatonic tones and chords most important for us are now indicated below for the C major scale. They are, let's say, from Dorian, yes? In C, you have E diminished, G minor, B flat major, A major, well, C diminished, C sharp diminished, and F sharp augmented. And then you have the third, the fifth, the seventh, the sixth, the 1. Yeah?
Wait.
Yes, that's why. Let's see his system.
No, wait, I don't understand.
That's why. Let's see his system. Yes, because this is, I have not seen in other book. Yes, I mean, the connection that he does, which is not bad, but it's something that takes time. So he says, okay, we are in C. We are going to relate everything with C. But from in the Dorian area, let's say, from the modes taken from the Dorian, we can use, as he said before, remember that he said, well, if we apply on the mode of the Dorian the same thing that we apply in the minor, so we transform the Dorian, let's say, ascending, yes, with D, E, F, G, A, B, natural, yes, C sharp, and then D, and then we have the B flat, we have the B. I mean, we can recreate, let's say, all the possibilities, yes, of the Dorian in this from the scale of C major, right? So sometimes we will have notes with B flat. Sometimes we're going to have notes, with C sharp, but we always relate it to C major. Yeah, C major. Yeah, the flip flat is something that is worries you. Yeah, that's why we have to take it. Yeah. Let me see what you don't understand, and then we'll see why.
Where I was supposed to be, I was supposed to be in C major. I was supposed to borrow from what from C Dorian. If yes, why do we have B flat?
There you go.
Why do we not have B flat?
Why do we have what, sorry?
Why don't we have B flat?
Because
Dorian.
Because the Dorian doesn't have E flat.
Which Dorian? The D Dorian or the C Dorian?
Wait, no. I mean, that's why. I mean, if you go to the C, let's go again. Yes, again. What he said. Yeah, because everything's here, and then if this is not clear, I mean, his theory. I'm saying. Yeah?
I see.
Says, come again. Yes,
it's
what it's. That's why was very important to get it from the beginning, because he builds a kind of entire system upon this hypothesis. I would say hypothesis, not theory. Yeah? So what took place in the church music happened without chromaticism, so to speak, diatonically. That's historically. Remember, we have the permutation, yes, of every single note of a major scale, but nothing. I mean, there was no transposition. Yes, we didn't transpose the Dorian to the C, the Dorian to the F. Yes. Says, as we can still see in our minor mode, where the sixth and the seventh raised tones ascending are as diatonic as the lower descending tones. What does it mean like that? Okay, let's break it into parts. Yes. If this is the beginning is understood, that's everything will be easier. Yeah. So, as we can still see in our minor mode, which is the minor mode? The Aeolian. I mean, the one took from Aeolian, yes, or the A natural minor, whatever you want to call it. Where the sixth and the seventh note, the seventh tone, sorry, ascending, raised, are as diatonic as the lower descending notes. Yeah, so they're considered to be diatonic by now. Now, if we apply that to Dorian, the church mode that begins on the second tone of a major scale, thus in C major and D. Yeah. We get the ascending tones A, B, C sharp, D, and descending D, C, B flat, A. So it what he's doing basically is to apply the same device that we used to the Aeolian. So we have two tetrachords, right? A, B, C, D, E. Yes, F, G, A, B. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. There you go. So the first tetrachord is unmovable, and the second tetrachord is the one that changes. Raised to 6 and 7. Yes, and in the ascending motion, and in descending, it gets back to the mode. Yes. But if you apply that to D, yes, on C, we never go out from C. If we apply the same thing that we apply on A minor, and we transpose into D, that's what will happen. That's what he's saying. Yes? More or less? Okay.
I'm running ahead. I'm sorry, but I see why the German is used as dominant now.
Sorry?
I'm running a bit ahead, but now I understand why the German, from his point of view, is used as dominant now. But it's the Phrygian. Anyway, we'll see, I guess. Later.
Well, the Phrygian is very interesting because he kind of applies the same thing that he applies with the Aeolian now. That's why the interesting part with the F natural. Now we'll see. Yes? Look, that's the curious thing about this. He says, in the Phrygian, starting on the third tone, gives us B, C sharp. So B is the fifth degree, right? C sharp, the sixth, D sharp, the seventh, and then E naturally. It was not commonly used in this form, the Phrygian. The Phrygian is a kind of an exception. We saw that in the So in descending will be E, D, C, B. Yes, so the first degree, the seventh, the sixth, and the fifth going down. Yeah. In the Lydian, from the fourth tone, the F, the perfect fourth, the flat. Yes, you alter it to transform it into the captain of the team, the major, let's say. Yes. Could be used as well as augmented if you follow, let's say, you transform it that mode into the Lydian, yes, or not, yes, and the Mixolydian from the fifth tone, starting on G, you can use the seventh tone raised or not, F sharp or F natural. If you use it as a Mixolydian, you will have the F. If you use it as a Mixolydian, applying the same system of the tetrachord, yes, with the notes raised, yes, the 6 and 7 raised, you have to raise the 7th. An Aeolian, our present day minor, produced E, F sharp, G sharp, A, which one, we know. So that's why our major and minor actually contain the entire harmonic wealth of the church modes. Then we must include these characteristics in a manner consistent with the sense. Becomes therefore now. It is possible, yes, in the major key, which is very stable, to use all the diatonic chords, non-diatonic, yes, tones and chords that appear in the 7 church modes, which were constructed on the 7 diatonic tones of our major scale. This is important, which were constructed on the 7 diatonic tones of our major scale. Okay, so let's go back to it. Yeah, so we're in C major. Yes, we'll never leave C major, first of all. So we will connect every single chord with C major, with the degrees of C major. That's why E diminished here says 3, third of C. G minor, although it's non-diatonic, is the 5th degree. Yes. There are 2 chords that we're going to see that you have the 7th with question mark and C sharp diminished with a question mark, because he said very clearly, I hope, yeah, it becomes possible thereby to use in a major key all the non-diatonic tones and chords that appear in the 7 church modes, which were constructed on the 7 diatonic tones of our major scale. So what he's saying is, on top of a diatonic note, we can use non-diatonic chords. Yes, but the root has to be still, yeah, diatonic. Because if not, you will lose the identity. Yeah, you will lose the identity of the degree of the scale, right? But this from the Dorian area, let's say, yes, you can either have the B flat or the D sharp. So you could build, yeah. Remember, In this case, you have the possibility, the second tetrachord gives you ascending A, B, C sharp D, descending D, C natural, B flat A. Okay, you have two possibilities. So we could have the possibility of a diminished E, B flat. Yes, remember that the notes can alter, yes, the degrees of the scale of C major. A minor fifth, because of the B flat. Then in question mark, B flat major, because we will be changing by changing the B flat, we're changing the identity of the seventh degree. Yes, transforming that second degree, the seventh degree, sorry, in a subtonic, not leading note. So the whole point of the major scale will be lost. Yes, you got the leading tone. That's one of the major characteristics of, the major key. And the sixth degree major, because of the C sharp. Remember, when you ascend in the D, Dorian, yes, you put C sharp. And then again, we have a little problem here because the C sharp diminished. Again, yes, this is an inversion, but the chord is C sharp diminished at the end of the day. It's, changing the identity by changing the root of the chord. And then finally, we have F augmented. Yes, we have the diminished, the minor fifth, the major sixth, and the F or the fourth, yes, potential. If I start just using those chords, applying those chords, yes, from the C, so you have the C major, tonic, D minor, supertonic, median diminished, subdominant augmented, minor dominant, major submedian, diminished leading tone. We're not going to use the major. Yeah. Quite different. We're not going to use all of them. Yes. Now, more or less understood this. Yeah. Okay. It gets more complicated after this. This is just the beginning. From Phrygian. Okay, so this is seldom appeared. Yes, because the Phrygian, yes, we're studying counterpoint. Yeah, we're not going to get into that. But the cadence in Phrygian actually is this. So you have the D sharp, yeah, the raised seventh. It was not part, yes, of the cadence, yes, in the Phrygian. Okay, but if we apply the same device, let's say that we did on the Dorian, on the Phrygian mode, on the area, we have the seventh degree, in which, very curious enough, what kind of tries this?
First one, the seventh, right? No.
Yeah.
It's a major, the manuscript.
Yes. Quite.
The French, in fact.
Yes. That's why he connects, exactly. I mean, he tries, I mean, from my way of looking at things, yeah, he tries to find the root of every single non-diatonic chord from 1 to source. So instead it says, every textbook says, okay, this is the augmented, it's a French augmented and the German and Neapolitan, and this is this, and this is the secondary dominant. It says something has to unite all this, unify. I mean, we need a source. And that's his system. I mean, that is his hypothesis. Which is very interesting because I have read a lot of books yes, in harmony, and nobody took the time or the effort or the, I don't know, yes, the thinking of trying to find one unique way of seeing things to unify every single thing that happens in harmony. That's why I see it's very interesting. Yes. So from one concept, you see that from one concept you see ramifications, and then those ramifications has one source, which is this one. That's what I see interesting in a nutshell. Yes. That's why but it's not the way that we studied the Napolitan, the German, the Italian, the six. Yes, that's not. I studied it when I studied it back in the day. Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever studied this? Let's say. No. Like that. No. That's why it's not very. It is the only textbook. It is the only treatise that I heard it. Yes. Usually this is like this. It's like this. It's like this. Yes. That's it. Yes, but no one connects. Yes, in one source, no one unifies. Yeah, but that's why it's interesting. That's why it's very important to have very clear in your head. Yeah, which are the modes? How are the characteristics of each mode? Because he connects very quickly. Let's say yes to the mode. So you have to have the mode very clear in your head. Because it's not just like it's a salad of chords. So he says, okay, seldom appeared because in truth, in the Phrygian, the seventh degree was not actually raised. Yes. But well, if we had to apply this chord will come, in which Georgios he connected immediately with the augmented six, let's say. And in this case, it's pretty obvious. Yes, F, A, D sharp. Yes. I mean, if I resolve the second chord into the E, we will know that it does that on. Now we have the B, F sharp, and F sharp. Yes. So B major. Yes, if we connect it with this double way of seeing things. I mean, you have the Phrygian, yeah, with the F natural as a Phrygian and the F sharp as the minor, let's say. It's connected with the minor. Yes.
I assume what we did now, we called them by the names as if we're in C major, but I guess we could do the same as if we are in A minor.
Yes. Yeah, later on you're going to see that he will talk about, I mean, this will have more sense, let's say, later on when he talks about regions, okay? So, yeah, later in the book he will say, okay, the region of the Dorian, the region of the Phrygian, and he will treat those regions alternatively, like a Dorian, proper Dorian, yes, yeah, and using other chords and tones of the Dorian, and the Dorian as the minor, yes, as a minor mode, as playing a minor melodic, harmonic, natural on the D, yes, with all the, so sometimes you have B flat, sometimes C sharp, sometimes B natural, sometimes C natural, and then he does the same thing with the Phrygian. So the Phrygian region, and in the Phrygian region you have all the alternatives.
What he does here, how does he call it?
No, he says Phrygian, and then that's why he assumes, I mean, his system, let's say, because sometimes you can do F natural, sometimes you can do F sharp. So it says, that doesn't have any sense.
How does he say these are modal interchanges? These are borrowed chords. What are these?
He says in a, in a way he says it here. He says, it becomes possible thereby to use in a major key all the non-diatonic tones and chords that appeared in 7 church modes, which were constructed on the 7 diatonic tones. And previously from that, remember he says, and we can still see in a major mode in a 6 and the 7th raised tones ascending and tone lower the 7 tone. So he said, well, the same thing that happened with the church modes, in which they started to be non-diatonic, and then they will be transformed by raising the 6 and the 7th. We can do the same thing with the modes.
But the subjects, on top of that, we can use them in the major, in the Ionian, let's say.
Sorry, come again?
But he doesn't stop there. Let's say we can do that on the Dorian. And that we did what we did on the Dorian, we can still use it as if we are in the major, let's say.
Exactly, yes.
So he has the name on that. Okay.
No, he doesn't put a name. Well, then he will talk about, later he will talk about regions. He doesn't talk about, no, I mean, more interchange or chords. No, he doesn't. He talks about regions. Yes. So you have, now you have all these alternatives. Yes, which is very interesting. Yeah. In C major. Imagine, I mean, now trust me, estaba ahead of them. From the Lydian, you have, Lydian, this is a typo, because Mixolydian is this one and Lydian is this one. I mean, if you see this accent. I mean, Mixolydian is B flat, yeah, and then Lydian F sharp.
Wait.
Yes.
Is it? It's not.
Well.
No. It's fine. It's correct. Wait. Because.
Very good, Georgios.
Wait. Yeah, the Lydian, Mixolydian, yes. In Mixolydian, G, he said we could raise the F to make it leading note, F sharp.
Very good.
Yes. And Lydian, yes, he said in the augmented fourth, we can make it a perfect fourth.
Well, no way to,
Yes.
to cheat you. Very good. So Georgios understood. Sasmi understood? Laura? Well, that's good. So the Lydian, you can have the, I mean, if the Lydian has the G, G major is, well, it's the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing as the major. But if I play the scale using this, yes, C major, D minor, E diminished, which also contains the Dorian, what he says. F major, G minor, A minor. The B flat major, remember, he's putting in brackets because you're altering the identity of the root. Yes, that's why he doesn't like that. Yes, it's too much. Mixolydian. Now, the Mixolydian, remember that you could use the F sharp raised 7th, or you just lowered it. You just lowered it, it's going to appear as, or if you don't raise the F, it will appear exactly as in C major. So that's why he doesn't bother. But if you raise the C, the F, you will have the C major, the second major, yes, or the third, medium, yes, minor. Now again in brackets, the subdominant diminished, F sharp, that one we're not using. G as always, A minor and B minor, yes, as a seventh, and then C major again. So this will be C major, second major, seventh minor, and then one. So the Mixolydian is quite interesting, I think. Yes. Chromaticism, those already familiar from minor. Yes. Naturally, the seventh chords as well. By proceeding this way, we follow the historical evolution which made a detour when it reached the church modes. This recalls my hypothesis that designated as the reason for this detour the difficulty in fixing the fundamental tone of these scales. So he has kind of two reasons why, okay, this is his hypothesis. We can reach by a direct route that point to which the historical route would lead us if we take as our starting point the tendency of a bass tone to impose its own overtone, to become the root of a major chord. In this way, alone, the non-diatonic major triads on the secondary degrees would be well enough established. Moreover, the other oft-mentioned psychological explanation would also be enough in itself to establish them. Well, take it, as it is. That is the principle of analogy, of imitation. We tentatively transfers the characteristics of one object to a different object, producing, for example, the raised seventh tone in minor. That is his explanation. We shall also adhere to this principle when in the course of our study we repeatedly transfer to other degrees that which is possible, for example, on the second degree. The minor and diminished triads introduced by recollection of the church modes to be derived the same. You know that this must not be overlooked, that these chords, apparently artificial, may nevertheless be considered relatively natural insofar as we have prototypes in the overtone series. 1 says, look, this is an example. Thus there are among the overtones of C a chord EGB, yes, which is to be sure remote, and a chord of EGB flat, which is not in tune, yet though remote or not in tune, both are susceptible of explanation as natural. This is the overtone series, we know the seventh and the between flat or natural. Yeah. If, however, in spite of the possibilities of such explanations, I prefer to go the way of history. I do so above all because the analogy with the minor, a mode that is still alive, is quite suitable of guiding in the treatment of this. Okay, so obviously we can accomplish all this through chromaticism. Now, through chromaticism is another completely different way of seeing things, which is, and we're going to see that later, yes, through what we can say horizontality, let's say from the horizontal point of view, okay, so linear point of view, not from the harmony, okay, that's the difference, yeah. So chromaticism, he says, is something different in which is more related to counterpoints, yes, to combinations of lines, yes, which are chromatic, and that gives you, yes, a texture, a very particular texture, okay? That's why. What he's doing is trying to find, yes, the explanation from harmony, and harmony alone, yes. That is through going by step from diatonic to non-diatonic tone, okay. So, we shall thus handle these non-diatonic tones and chords more or less as we should handle them if they belonged to a minor key. Accordingly, we shall observe, so to speak, the loss of the pivot tones and apply them to those scale segments, and we raise or lower them. So we still the pivot tones, yes, pivot tones that we saw in the minor mode will apply, because the loss of voice leading still applies. It's not that we can do whatever we want, yes, in the melody. Yeah? I mean, we need an order, and now more than ever, because this kind of freedom also can create a lot of chaos. So he, grabs from there. Yes, it is self-evident that, say, the triad A C sharp E will not follow the triad C E G. Why not? So why not? We can do this. This going to this.
A pivot note C sharp has to go to D sharp or whatever. Chromaticism.
Exactly. So the C sharp has to go to a, I don't know, a D sharp. It depends. Or it could. Yeah. I mean, if the C sharp can, if we're doing the Dorian, you can go to the a C sharp to a D sharp. Yes. It can result to a D, but never to a C. Not back to another tone. Nor will E, G sharp, E. For example, C, E, G, yeah, to E, G sharp, B. Yeah, we shall work this way because of the G sharp, the G to the G sharp.
No,
yeah.
We not follow a triad. So, what is the first triad? No, we not follow a triad. So the first is C, G, and then you cannot put A, C sharp, B.
Yeah, so it is the triad A, C sharp, E will not follow a triad E, C, E, G.
Yes. So first you can put C major and then A major.
Yeah.
Chromatic.
Yeah, chromatic, G, G sharp, or C, C sharp. Yes. It's, I mean, chromatic note, no. Yes. Pivot note, remember the pivot tones on the minor, and they will be fine. Yes. Now the classification, we are going to do it, we're going to start next lesson. Yes. Which will be what we can kind of produce. Yes. Basically, we're going to have major triads, minor triads, augmented triads, and diminished triads. And then we have to connect them, each one of them, in a very specific mode.